tonight? Thank you all for coming in this cold February day. And my name's Alok Sharma. I'm one of the music programmers here at Harbourfront Center. I'm really happy that all of you guys came out for tonight. Just to give you a little background about Viewpoints. Viewpoints is a series, a discussion series that we have running since 2005, and it's essentially a discussion where we can celebrate, debate, and discuss art and culture in Canada and internationally. And today we're starting off a new series called Inside the Musician's Studio, and it's essentially taken off of Inside the Actor's Studio, and it's to give a different perspective about the creative process of an artist. And we're starting off with two incredible artists today. So I want you to give a warm welcome for Owen Pallett, aka Final Fantasy, Steve Kado from Blocks Recording, and the conversation is going to be led by Globe and Mail and Zoilist.com, Carl Wilson. So please give them a warm welcome.
Thanks for coming. I'm Carl Wilson.
How's that?
This is Steve Kado.
Hey, ooh, how's this?
Everyone hear each other?
How's this working? Yep.
Working? Am I on?
Yeah, we can.
No? Yes? Okay.
So I'll give little capsule introductions to each Steve and Owen. Steve Kado is the founder of the Blocks Recording Club, a musicians co-op that has released nearly 40 records since 2003, is that right? Since 2003?
Yeah, since 2003.
He's also a member of the Barcelona Pavilion, Ninja High School, and other bands, and records solo as The Blanket. Owen Pallett has released 2 albums under the name Final Fantasy, the first called Has a Good Home, and last year's He Poos Clouds, which won the inaugural Polaris Prize in 2006. Prior to that, Owen was the lead singer and songwriter in a band called Les Mouches. Owen's also a member of the Blocks Recording Club and has played violin and done string arrangements for many other artists, including the Arcade Fire, Jim Guthrie and the Hidden Cameras, etc., etc. And together, Steve and Owen are the rarely seen band Internet, which you can fly them about later on. We're going to talk for a little while, and we're going to perhaps play some music on it. We have battling iPods set up here. And then we'll at the end, open up and let you guys ask some questions, too. To start off, I mean, one of the things that we talked about discussing, and I think that Blocks will bring up, is the entire area of unconventional approaches to the music industry. And I think maybe to start, we could talk about how each of you sort of got to the place where you were interested in that kind of thing. And what I wonder, like, sort of early experiences and influences that might have sort of pushed you in the direction of alternative culture, and what kind of pivotal things you might remember. Either of you can start.
Me?
Go for it, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've just been involved with a lot of bands that have seen kind of like the drive that bands have to either get on those kind of nebulous, major labels, or to, and also seeing, the workings of, I mean, I've been involved with 4 or 5 bands that have been signed to Rough Trade Records, and I've seen, that even how a label such as Rough Trade, who are, so highly regarded and have such an incredible back catalog, can just totally be kind of, not really actualizing bands' expectations, essentially. I was going to use another adjective.
It's also kind of important to remember, though, that Rough Trade now is a totally different deal than Rough Trade in the past. Like, when Rough Trade was run by Jeff Travis, put up the Smiths and the Raincoats and all that stuff, it was actually owned by Jeff Travis, and now it's owned by Sanctuary Group, which is, I think, owned by EMI.
Right, and they make most of the decisions.
So, I mean, like, and Jeff
Travis... Yeah, it was kind of revived as a brand more than the original idea. Yeah.
Given its difference in structure, it's no wonder that being on Rough Trade now is a different deal than what maybe being on Rough Trade in 1982.
No, it's true, but I mean, it's even, Jeff Travis still works for them. Like, I mean, regardless of where he's getting his money, he still has a personal responsibility for the label. Anyways, I've just seen, I've just seen what, the way that their interactions with Royal City and with, more recently, Bell Orchestra and Hidden Cameras and all that sort of thing. And it became kind of clear that, like, it wasn't really, I thought that it was a really great way to put out a record, but it definitely wasn't the best way to put out a record. There wasn't a lot of interaction between, and there wasn't a lot of, like, sort of, flexibility with what a label could do. And meanwhile, Steve had just put out the Matthias Sucks cassette, which was a limited edition of like 10 copies, I think. 8 copies. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I got one of them.
I got one of them.
I did.
You were late.
I am.
Yeah.
I literally actually was late, I think. I got to the gig late. They were gone.
Well, that actually only came out in Ottawa.
Yeah. We were
So-
at the-
Oh, really?
Is
That was in
Is
Ottawa?
that a hidden camera show in Ottawa?
in the basement.
But yeah.
Babylon.
Babylon, yeah. Babylon. Released in Babylon.
I was thinking, even prior to that, though, too, like, in sort of entering into the non-commercial or the non-sort of entertainment biz side of the music industry, and how, you know, I think people tend to have, like, those moments that kind of open up that idea for them somewhere along the line.
Like, how would you have even gotten into something like being in hidden cameras?
Yeah.
Like, before that. Or actually, before that, because I introduced you to Joel, but...
That's right.
But so that's how you got into hidden cameras. But how did
You kind of form a nice package of interviewee.
but I mean, how did you arrive at a point where it would make sense for you and I to even be friends in the first place and be talking about records?
I don't know. When I was in the hidden cameras, I wasn't really like looking at music as like an actual form of like anything artistic.
But all you did was music.
I was like doing, I mean, not pop music. I was doing classical music.
And the pop music that you were doing was for cash more than, like, it was kind of gigging jobs, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I really thought about it, but I definitely didn't take it seriously.
What were you doing? Do you want to fill people in on this stuff too? No?
I don't
Okay,
know.
cool.
Oh, it's touchy.
If you open to the entertainment listings of Now today, you can see a little hint of Owen's dark past.
Well, it's not dark. That's the thing. It's just like it was a Celtic band, and there were country bands before that, and there were, you know, other rock bands and whatever.
Yeah.
I keep breathing into this thing.
Really, I thought it was me.
Sounds hot.
It gives a little sort of Darth Vader ambiance to the whole thing. It makes it all so Steve, what about you?
I was into free jazz in high school. I was in a really competitive jazz asshole music program where
Are you fellow veterans of the Jazz Asshole music program?
But I was in a jazz asshole high school music program where everything was really competitive. And so it was like, you either had to practice a lot and be really good, or you had to know a lot of stuff to sort of contextualize the decisions you were capable of making. So there was a big rush to gain knowledge. And so anything that sounded weird also just like turned me on in the first place. Like I was always really hungry to hear stuff. So that's how I got interested in music in general. Before that I was really interested in grunge. So it was like direct jump from like Soundgarden to Leroy Jones kind of thing. And then sort of later on in high school, as a result of that, unfortunately I got into post-rock, which led me back around to like post-hardcore and eventually actual punk rock, but only really when I was in university. At that stage, I only really discovered the band that's now my favorite band, Beat Happening, when I was like in the end of first year university. And that was really important for me. Like that was really, at that point I was already really feeling dissatisfaction with the sort of like musician-based like chops and like ass-kicking kind of school of music that I was coming away from, because obviously I had no interest personally in practicing any musical instruments, but I still liked doing music. But I really didn't give a shit how I really didn't want to learn to play anything really well, and I didn't want to practice, and I didn't want to go to band practices, and I didn't want to get tight, and I thought it was all horribly, I thought it was like, it felt like slavery. And it had no feeling of emancipation or what I thought was like enjoyable or fun about music. So I found Beat Happening really offered me a lot of solutions.